I'm 17 and in May I made $25,000 and if you just come with me, I just want to show you something quickly. Let's just get past the fucking special fancy fucking lighting and come out here because I want to show you something, little bro. Look at this. Camera, look at that. Cool, it's a camera. Guess what? Guess what as well? Guess what? iPhone. I am so excited to share with you how you can just completely transform your mental health, your appreciation, your gratitude, and also just your entire ability to work by abusing materialism. And I honestly think I've got the best, like the definitively best view on this because like I can buy the nice shit, I can buy the nice laptop, the fucking nice camera, the iPhone, the lighting, and all this shit, and I can get the fucking dopamine from buying this cool shit. And at the same time, it still does so much good for my mind, and at the same time, still gets me so many more results in business. So obviously there's like one side of the spectrum where you've got like way too much fucking materialism. You know, this is like the sort of, you know, Rolex, Lamborghini side of materialism, where you're kind of only really buying it for the status and because like, you know, it feels good for the dopamine and it's like, you know, it's just basically status at the end of the day, really. And I think we all kind of, you know, intuitively, inherently understand that like that's fun. And, you know, that's probably something that maybe you're going to try in the future, but probably isn't, like, ideal. That's probably isn't really, you know, how you should live your life, just fucking, like, trying to flex your watch into buying your fucking Lamborghini. Because it really is, like, you know, you buy something new, and this is scientifically proven too. You buy something new, and that dopamine spike you get literally only lasts for 3 fucking seconds. You might think, oh, wait, no, it's longer than 3 seconds. No. It's been scientifically proven that it is 3 seconds, and then very quickly it goes back down very close to the baseline, and then like it obviously sort of stays at a little bit above the baseline for a while, and then it sort of goes down. That's scientifically proven. Okay. It's literally a fucking like 3 second dopamine rush. That's like instant gratification at level 100. Like when I bought the new iPhone, like if I can find the box somewhere, where the fuck did I put it? Here it is. You know, basically I got, you know, the new iPhone in the box, and let me just reenact this for you, how it actually worked, because I'm going to explain to you very, very soon. Shit, there's so much fucking bullshit in here. I'm going to explain to you soon, like, why I actually buy nice things and why I actually buy materialism and how that actually really, really helps me. But basically, like, let's just fucking, like, how the fuck does a phone go in a box, bro? So, basically, you know, I buy the new iPhone, it's in the box with the fucking, like, little Apple, you know, fucking seal on it and everything. You peel off the fucking seal, and it's nice. It's like, I remember actually, originally, it was in like, you know, like a brown cardboard box in the packaging, so that obviously they weren't just posting a fucking iPhone box where everyone can see it's an iPhone. And so it came in as this brown cardboard box. And I opened it up and I remember, I saw like the fucking like iPhone like image here on the box. And like instantly, because I was introspective when I did this, I was like aware of how the dopamine and shit works in my brain. So I was perceiving my own brain in a way. And I remember when I saw this, like instantly, my dopamine receptors light up. It feels good, and then guess what? 3 seconds later, bang, gone back down to completely normal. And so I peel off the little fucking thing, and then I spend like 10 minutes like fucking waiting it for it to fall out, and then it kind of does like that, and then guess what? I see the fucking iPhone in there, bro, and dopamine, woof, and then it goes back down. And I remember my brother was there with me, and he was like, my 9-year-old, 10-year-old brother, and he was like, in fact, no, he was 9 at the time. Like really, really excited about it and everything. And like, this is like the newest. This is the newest. They haven't released in the 18 or 19 yet. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is the 17, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And so basically, it's like I saw it, dopamine up, and dopamine down. And then guess what? I pick it up and I take it out of the box and you feel it and it's like shit, that's like so light and it's so ergonomic and it feels so good and it's so like premium and everything. And I get a dopamine rush there and then it kind of goes back down. And then I turn it on and it does a like, hello, the fucking fancy Apple shit. And it's like, dopamine. And then it goes back down. Like every time you get like a new stimulus coming into your brain, like dopamine up, dopamine down. And guess what? It was the exact same thing with my MacBook too. I open it, feels good. Then I open up, the fucking like lid like that, feels good. And then I'll open up, hello, feels good. And then it goes back down. And it's like, the dopamine doesn't it's not like a gradual thing where you genuinely feel good about it, It's just like, every time you interact with it, that's when the dopamine comes up and then it goes straight back down. It's kind of like anything like junk food, porn, it works the exact same way in your brain, where you do it and it feels good and then you go straight back down, bro. You get in a fucking, like, you know, dopamine deficit, bro. Same thing with my fucking lighting, same thing with, like, I got some new AirPods recently because the old ones, like, the noise cancellation was, like, quite bad on them, so I got some new ones. And, like, it's, you know, it's the exact same thing when you open it, like the fucking AirPod box, bro. It's like, to be fair, there was less dopamine with these because it's like they're only AirPods. But, like, you open it and then it's like the AirPods are there. You know, where are my fucking AirPods? You know, the AirPods are in the box and you're like, oh, fancy new AirPods, yeah. And you put them in, you test the noise cancellation. Oh, noise cancellation. And then it's just normal. It's just back down to normal. It's kind of like, you know, when you know, listen to some song, and that song, it fucking goes hard, bro. And so then you keep listening to that song, and then it just gets dead and boring and old, like, very, very fast. I feel like that's kind of how it is with materialism. Like, you just normalize to it, bro. And I think also what happens is, like, and you probably already know this, is, like, you start to get into a bit, oh, there's so much fucking mess, bro. You start to get into, like, a bit of a, like, a dopamine deficit. In the sense that you get, you know, it's kind of like with porn or junk food or, you know, bullshit YouTube or anything like that. It's like, you do it and it feels good, but then, like, your dopamine levels normalize, and so it goes, like, back down, and then you feel worse after doing it. You know, you kind of, like, trade your future selves good feelings. And this is, what the fuck? This is so much worse. I'm getting distracted by my phone a little bitch. This is so much worse, okay, if you are still riding on the success of your younger self. And I've done this so many times, and bro, this is the fucking worst, man. This is the worst when you do this. When, you know, you have a period where you're so motivated and you grind really fucking hard, and you make a ton of progress and you make a ton of money, or maybe you don't make a ton of money. You might not be, you probably aren't making money yet if you're watching this. But, you know, at least for me, it's like, you know, I grind hard, make money, and it's nice, and, like, your money gets so, you know, you're happy with the level of money you got and everything. And then it's like, you invest, you reinvest, or at least I reinvest into the business and I buy some nice shit. And then it's kind of like, I'll be indulging in the nice shit. Bro, I remember, it was like January I did this. It was like, I just got the new phone and I was, like, making a load of money and it was feeling good. And I remember, it was like, I went, because I was going to, like, my brother's football training and shit. And I remember it was in the car home. I kind of realized, like, shit, bro, for the past, like, 3 days, I haven't really got a ton of work done. But I was, like, still happy with, like, the new phone. I'm gonna, by the way, I'm gonna tell you that, you know, the fucking dopamine spike. I'm gonna tell you how you can drag that out to be, like, fucking ages, bro. And that is so overpowered. I'm gonna get to that. But I remember, like, back in January, is like I was riding on the success of my previous self. I hadn't done, like, any work for, like, 3 days, but I was still getting sales because of, like, the work of my previous self. I kind of realized, like, shit, this is such a dangerous point to be in, where you're not doing the work, but at the same time feeling good. Because, like, for you, when you don't do the work, you feel bad, and so then that gets you to do the work, and then by doing the work, you then, you know, you don't die. Pretty much your business don't die. Or, you know, you continue at pace. However, when you're feeling good and you're, like, reaping the rewards of your younger self, and then at the same time, you're indulging in that and you're comfortable and not doing the work, like, that is complacency level 100. I've lost my entire business doing that before. Like, when I was 14, I got into, like, 15, 14 or 15, yeah, I was 15. I was 15. I got into this, like, I was 15, I think. I got into this, like, horrible fucking rut, bro, like, for the entire summer. Like, addicted to fucking video games. I basically went back to, like, you know, being the absolute fucking degenerate, you know, low-level guy who isn't on self-improvement. Going from, like, 2K per month down to that, it was fucking horrible. And that was because I was like, shit, I'm making 2K per month, I can relax now. And then I did, and then I lost it all. Now, you already know about that. I've kind of just, like, that ain't gonna be good for my retention, to be honest. I've kind of just yapped about shit you already know at the start of the video. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, because it is a spectrum, it's not like materialist or not materialist, it's like, how materialist are you? And so on the other side of the spectrum, like, you're not materialist at all, and, like, in a way, you don't have enough materialism. And I think this is what we call minimalism. This is, like, minimalism is, like, the opposite of materialism. And this is basically where it's like you go through life kind of being sufficient, if that makes sense. Like, you might see, like, the fucking, like, My Weird Addiction TV show where people are, like, fucking skint, bro, and they'll try and save, like, they'll put fucking plastic bags over, like, their fucking mattress so they don't, like, degrade the value of the mattress and shit like that, bro. We're probably not at, I assume you're not at that level where you're fucking, like, collecting the fucking, you know, caps of milk cartons to, like, build something out of them. But it's like, you know, you probably aim to get, like, the best bang for your buck, you know? You probably try and get value for money, in that you're not going to go and spend a load of extra money and, you know, just get a bit of a better product, because you can save that money and, like, get a higher, you know, ROI, return on your investment, by spending less and sort of getting the highest leverage bang for your buck, where it's like, you know, you'll buy things that are sort of sufficient and good enough. They're not the best, but they're good enough, and you just sort of get by doing that, if you see where I'm getting at with this. And so, for example, I've got a story about sort of buying something that is sort of sufficient, a story of me being on the other side of the spectrum. And this is actually with, fuck. Actually, I've got them right here, I can show you, okay? This is a story with big reveal. What's it gonna be about? No. GoPro batteries, okay? So, this was maybe, I don't know, bro. I don't even know when I fucking bought these, man. Like, 6 months ago? Maybe? A year ago, maybe? I don't know. But basically, there's like sort of two types of GoPro batteries, okay? You know what a GoPro is, like the little action camera. That's like primarily what I like filmed and vlogged on in the past, before I got this camera. So firstly, there's like the official like GoPro batteries. Like if I can like fucking focus the camera on these so you can actually see it. So firstly, there's like the official fucking like GoPro batteries here, okay? You know, these are like the official ones and everything. And these are like the best ones. However, I think these are like £25 per battery or some bullshit like that, bro. You know, really expensive. And on the other hand, you have, if I can get them into focus, you got these. And these are like basically third party. You can see it's KNF Concept, which is like some Chinese camera brand. KNF Concept are pretty sick, by the way. I buy so much shit from them. But basically, there's two types of GoPro batteries. There's the, oh fuck, we gotta put the camera back. So there's the official ones, and then like the unofficial ones. Okay, the official ones, they're like, I don't know, bro. I think they're like £25. Maybe they might be like £40 a battery actually. To be fair, they're basically GoPro's a fucking shit. They got a shit company, great product. Okay, it's like Whoop, shit company, great fucking product. So they overprice their batteries like fucking crazy. Okay. And so I remember, like, I needed to buy more and more GoPro batteries and everything. And I remember this was like maybe 6 months or a year ago where money wasn't like super abundant. You know, and money was somewhat scarce, and so it's like I wanted to kind of save money. I didn't want to go like fucking crazy. And I know GoPro batteries aren't the best example of materialism, but you can sort of understand where I'm coming at with this. And so instead, I bought like some not second hand, but like third party batteries. And I remember these were like £12 per battery, or something like, you know, way cheaper. And they were like, they had all the same stats, like the wattage was like fucking, like, if I can read it. Lithium iron, 3.85 volts, 1,730 milliamps, 6.7 wattage. So it's like, it's the exact same. Like they are the exact same statistics. So in theory, it's the exact same battery. However, you are buying from a Chinese brand. You're buying batteries from a Chinese brand. And so like, things are things are generally prone to going wrong. Okay. And at first, for the first month, 2 months of using them, it wasn't super heavy usage. They were decent, you know, they were going well, they would basically perform the exact same. Actually, I remember at the start, they had better performance than the official GoPro batteries. Partially because my official GoPro batteries are like pretty old, and so like their ability was a bit lowered. And so I was like, bro, these batteries are great, I've saved like £30 per battery, saved like £100 or some shit. And at the same time, I'm using pounds because I'm like British. And so it's like sick, I've saved some money. However, this was like October, I remember it was. It was when my good friend Vincent was here, the fucking Florida man living here with me in the UK. And he had like the newest GoPro, okay? And he only had one battery because he didn't buy any extra batteries for it. But I had like tons of extra batteries, so that wasn't a problem whatsoever. And I had tons of extra batteries because I bought the cheap batteries, so I bought more of them. And so I was like basically allowing him to like use my batteries and everything. Allowing him. It sounds like a fucking like gifting. You get what I'm saying. And so he had like the newest version of the GoPro. I've got like the Hero 10. He had like the Hero 13 or some shit. It was like 3 years newer or something like that. And so his like GoPro could like pull a higher power wattage when it was like in the best settings. And so what started happening, I remember I was like upstairs in my room, like recording some video or some course or something like that. And my friend Vincent, he was like downstairs editing some more, you know, his video, some shit like that. And I remember he comes up, running up the stairs, and I'm recording some video, but he like comes in when I'm like, you know, taking a break or something like that, so he didn't disturb me. And I remember him being like, hey Sam, like these batteries, like they keep on like dying, just like out of nowhere, like at 50%. And it's not that they're dying, like the camera just like keeps turning off. That's not, he didn't say about the batteries, he was saying like, oh, the camera keps turning off. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I told him to like do some research into the camera, like looking at other people being like, oh, my camera's turning off. And he did that, we couldn't figure out the problem, and so like he just had to deal with it basically. And then it carried on happening, and he started to realize, shit, the camera only turns off, you know, the camera doesn't turn off when he's using the battery that came with the camera, and the battery that came with the camera was an official GoPro battery. And so he kind of realized like, shit, it's a second-hand batteries, they're just like randomly turning off. And so we chat GPT'd it, and it was like, oh yeah, third-party batteries, they probably can't deal with the power spikes and shit and all this. And we were like, oh, okay. And I was like, I wasn't really fussed, to be fair, because it was like Vincent's camera in a way, and he already had like his own official battery. And like the batteries, they lasted a good few hours, so it's not like an issue that he only has one battery at all. It's just like you don't have an abundance of power in a way if like you're out and recording. And so basically, I was just like, oh, okay, it's kind of unfortunate, but like these batteries, these third-party batteries, they weren't even made for his camera. They were made for like the 12, and he had like the 13, and I had like the 10. So it was, it was all chill. It was all good. Until, I'm not sure when it was. It would have been like the start of November. I think we were in Poland at that point. Oh yeah, we were we were in like Snowdonia in Wales just before we went to Poland. And I remember when we were out here, we were out hiking through mountains, like somewhat remote. Like if you're a couple of hours away from like the car and shit, if you really want to get back. And I remember out of nowhere, like the fucking my batteries would just start dying at 50%. And it's not the same issue that he had, where it's like they would just turn off, the camera would turn off. It was like they would be at 50% and the battery just fucking dies, and then you'd have to charge it up again. And so I would have turned these batteries, and they would just like start failing on me, and I ended up like missing some good footage because of these batteries. And I was kind of like, fair enough. I've got some good use at these batteries. They were third-party batteries, but the GoPro batteries, which I had at the time, I'd had them for like a year. These official batteries, I had them for like a year and a half at the time, and they were still working just fine. They'd had so much more fucking use through them, and they were still working solidly. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought, sort of take the hit. And I ended up just buying some more like not second-hand, but third-party batteries again, just to like sort of save some more money. And this story is a good illustration of the point I want to make here. And that's that, like, by saving money, you end up spending your confidence in the product, you end up spending your time, you end up spending your mental focus and your mental energy. And it's like you save money, sure, but you're basically spending other areas of your life that money is equivalent to. Because, like, at the end of the day, money is equivalent to time, really, because you can just get a job and trade your time for money. You can trade your energy for money. People do that in jobs and everything. And so by saving money, you're spending your time and spending your energy. It's either one or the other. And it's kind of like, it's just interesting because, like, that's kind of, it kind of makes sense. Oh shit, yeah, that makes sense. And that's the thing, is like, you think about people who are kind of on salaries and everything, and for the people on salaries, it kind of makes sense that they do that, don't they? 99% of people do work on salaries. And people on salaries, well, they literally do have a scarcity of money. And so for them to try and like act out of an abundance of money and to try and like, in the day-to-day, every single day, they trade their time and energy for money. And so it's not kind of weird for them to go and try and save money, because that's the equivalent. It's literally just the same thing as them going and working a job. It's just like the reverse of the equation in a way. And so it makes sense for them to do it. But at the end of the day, like, we are entrepreneurs, aren't we? And so it's kind of like, well, we're trying, yeah, sure, we are training our time and energy for money, but we're doing it in an exponential manner so that in the future we don't have to, or we get a much bigger return of money for our time and energy. And it's just interesting, like, to kind of realize, like, shit, like, how are you supposed to become an entrepreneur and actually make this work and become successful if you're basically acting like someone who works on a salary, and you're being all like tense and like stingy with spending your money? And this is another thing with when you have this like, sufficiency mindset of like, I'm just gonna get the best bang for my buck. And I'm gonna get to my good mindset in a second. This will fucking blow your mind. We just gotta like explain these two sides of the spectrum first. And that's when you try and save your money, like I said, you act like someone who's working on a salary. And then because you act like someone who's working on a salary due to like reciprocity, whatever the fuck it's called, where the universe just kind of gives you how you act. As in, I think it's kind of like to do with the law of attraction. Like, basically, if you act rich, you're more likely to become rich. Like, if you act like you get sales on a sales call, you're more likely to get sales on a sales call. And so, like, when you're trying to save money, you're acting like money is scarce. And when you act like money is scarce, due to basically, like, reality being tied in with perception, like, so heavily, and reality being tied in with your beliefs, what naturally then happens is that money is scarce. You treat money like it's scarce, it then is scarce. You believe it is then scarce, and then obviously you don't get rich. For example, like my mum, now I don't want to shit talk my mum or anything like that, I love my mother. With her, however, and keep in mind, like, she's like a teacher at school, obviously she does work on a salary, same with my dad. And so it's like we're very well off, but it's like, money is limited, if that makes sense. It's not scarce, but it is limited. And so, like, I think it's kind of honestly changed recently, which I'll talk about soon. But when, like, for example, like, she's spending, like, money on the shopping, like, buying the shopping and everything, it's like she will, for example, like, go out of her way to go and, like, we might get, like, let's say we normally get, like, one type of apples, for example, but then she sees the other, she'll go and check all the other types of apples and see that the other types of apples, oh, they're on discount, and so she'll basically change the normal products we get to, like, a different type of apples, or this goes for any product, the different type of product, because she'll save, like, £1 on some discount or something like that. Or, for example, like, when products come and they're, like, slightly damaged or on their, best before date or whatever, even if it's, like, 1 day difference or some shit like that, she'll just go on the app and, like, do the complaint thing to get the refunds and everything. Which is nothing wrong with that if you're working, like, on a salary and you're chill and happy working on a salary where money is limited. Because for her, it's like, it takes her, like, 5 minutes to do that, and, like, she might get, like, £2 back, which, if you think about it, that's, like, working for £24 an hour, which is, above her hourly rate, I think. So, it's worth it for her to do that. It makes sense for her to do that. However, us being entrepreneurs, we don't want to be working for £24 an hour our entire life. That's a sort of decent wage, but it's not like, you don't want to be fucking only working for £24 an hour. Like, if you work a 9 to 5, then that's like what? That's literally like, that's like $5,000 a month. That's like $60,000 a year salary. £24 an hour, $60,000 a year. You don't want to only be making like 5k per month for the rest of your life, do you really? And so you kind of need to act like you're not, and we're going to get to this very, very soon. But it's like, people that fucking spend an hour looking for a coupon code to like save $3 and everything. And you kind of have to decide, like, shit, bro, like, what is worth more to you? Your time and your energy, which you then reinvest into the entrepreneurship, where you're not going to be making any money now, but that's going to basically pay off in the long term and get you the results in the long term. For example, me making these videos, I'm sure this video isn't going to be like the highest ROI of my time, in that I'd make more money doing outreach. However, I've got a long-term vision of building up a big audience and actually really fucking, like, building a big movement and really fucking changing your life. And the only way I can do that is by making videos now, so I can get much better at making videos, articulate myself clearer, get much better at making videos, and then from getting much better at making videos, what then happens from that is that I'm basically then able to build up that big mission, and then that produces much higher ROI in the future. I'm reinvesting my time and energy for the future. Whereas when you've got this mindset of, like, shit is limited, and you've got, like, minimalism, and you want to buy things that are sufficient, you're acting like somebody who's on a salary. And then by doing that, you're naturally going to act less like the entrepreneur that you want to be. Like, to become your future, your goals, they're like this future thing you want to achieve. But if you treat them like they're this future thing for future you, you're never, because to think about it, you need to achieve your goals in a present moment. Not the present moment right now, but in a present moment. When you achieve your goals or do the work, it is going to be in a present moment. You can't right now go and achieve your goals in the future right now. That doesn't really work. You need to be in a present moment. And so if you keep treating your goals as like this future thing for future you and not current you, then you're never going to do it, because you need to do it in a present moment, if you understand that. And so basically, if you keep treating it like, oh, I'm going to achieve my goals in the future, I need to achieve my goals in the future. That's the thing for future me. That's like a long-term future me thing. Like, obviously, delayed gratification, don't fucking be retarded and try and just, like, fucking feel good now. But you see where I'm coming at it with this. Like, you need to act in, like, achieving your goals now. You need to be your future self now. And so if you want to be the entrepreneur that can achieve your goals, you need to be the entrepreneur now. And so what I'm getting at is, like, when you try and save money, like, I honestly just get all, like, fucking tense and stingy, like, acting like money's scarce and everything, bro. And it's like, it's just not a good place to be in. Like, when you can act like money's in abundance, and we're going to get to this soon, and you can act like money's in abundance and you can reinvest into the business, and I'm sure we're going to relate this back to materialism, I promise, and you can act like money's in abundance, then what happens is, like, because you act like it's in abundance, it is in abundance. And, like, for example, we're going to get to this, but when I reinvest into my business, even if I'm spending a ton of money, I'm fine with that, because I know I'm going to get an ROI, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. But pretty much to summarize, it's like, obviously you don't want to be on the side of the spectrum where you're just, like, wasting money and being, like, too abundant, in the sense that, like, you're spending so much fucking money on the most random shit that gets you the tiniest ROI that might work out in the future, and, like, you're fucking buying shit on, like, the fucking, I think we've all transcended past the fucking watches and Lamborghinis by this point. It might be a thing, and in the future, I do want to go to Dubai and, like, rent out a Lamborghini, just, like, for the fun of it, bro, just to experience that. Like, I'm not going to not experience that, but I'm also not going to go, like, all the way fucking down deep into materialism and fucking, like, put my life on that. I think we're kind of above that. And so what I'm starting to get at here is, like, being abundant with money or being, like, needy with money and everything. and not needy, but like, you know, scarce with money. You know, which is, you know, where should you really be? Because if you are too abundant, then what happens is you end up wasting money. And I honestly think I have been acting too abundant, and we're going to talk about this. I've been acting too abundant, but then at the same time, you can actually be too scarce as well. So we're now going to get into my third point, which is basically being on both sides of the spectrum. And this might be like, what the fuck? This is kind of like a non-binary thinking thing, and if you don't understand what non-binary thinking is, then like this, you aren't gonna be able to fully understand this. I've got a full fucking 4-hour entire course on YouTube for completely, it's just a normal video on YouTube, a full course on basically removing all limiting beliefs and non-binary thinking. There's a link for that I'll put a link for that in the description. That will like, if you are willing to watch through that and actually take action, that will fucking completely change your life, bro. And it has done to everybody who has already watched that. I've got so much feedback on it. It's such a great video. With non-binary thinking and basically sort of changing all your beliefs. If you haven't watched that and you don't understand it, then this point isn't really going to hit home for you. Or it might do. But basically, I am able to both buy the materialistic things like the laptop, the phone, the nice camera. For example, in the future, you know, renting out a Lamborghini, you know, like traveling, you know, nicely and like renting out nice places and shit. And it's like, I'm able to do that and get the dopamine from that and feel good about that, okay? And at the same time, I'm also able to be super fucking grateful for that shit, bro. I'm also able to actually like get a return on my investment from buying these things. It's not just a status thing or a dopamine thing. I get the best of both sides of the spectrum. And actually I end up saving money, okay, by buying these materialistic things. I'm also able, that dopamine spike, I'm able to fucking stretch out that dopamine spike to be like fucking constant, bro. And it's fucking awesome. And, you know, how do I do this? You know, because surely it's impossible. I can't both have the benefits of being materialistic and non-materialistic at the same time. Like, how the fuck can you be on both sides? You know, how can you be at 2 points on the spectrum at the same time? That doesn't really make sense. Non-binary thinking, again, it's pretty much, I just believe that I can be on both sides of the spectrum and I can get the benefits of both sides. And therefore, because I believe that, I do. I just say no to the belief that you're either materialistic or non-materialistic. I'm both materialistic and non-materialistic. I just say no to the belief that you can't be both. And I just believe that I am both, and then I am. And you might be like, well, that doesn't add up with logic. Well, guess what? I've completely changed the way logic works in my brain, okay? And so I can believe both at once. This mindset is the reason I'm at $25,000 per month at, I was about to say 7 years old then, 17 years, that'd be kind of crazy. At 17 years old. These mindsets go way fucking deeper, bro. About, you know, how basically being able to just say no to your beliefs and like just completely removing all limiting beliefs. It goes so much deeper. And I have got, honestly, I think I've got a lot of the best perspectives on a lot of these things. And I've made an entire course on this. And the thing is, I'm not pitching you here, okay? Because this course is for completely and utterly free. And you can get it, no fucking credit card, no free trial, no fucking bullshit like that, okay? I've made this course completely free, and this course is already changing lives. I've helped so many fucking guys exactly like you to start making money online with these mindsets. And you can get that course for completely free. It's on School. The link for that is in the description. I highly recommend you go and click that because honestly, man, that will fucking change your life. No pressure if you don't want to, I completely understand, man. But there is a link down in the description if you do want to go and join that there. Just thought to let you know, bro. And so, you know, how do I actually do this where I am on both sides of the spectrum? Well, the way I basically see it is that I'm investing into my materialism and investing into things by treating them as tools. And this is a mindset that I got from my dad, so I just want to give credit to my dad here. He might be watching this video. Hello, Daddy. No, that sound like Jacob there. That's so weird. Anyway, for context, Jacob is my brother, and he always does like the fucking like brain rot, like, Daddy. Still, I can't do it, man. I cannot make myself do that. But he always does like, you know, the brain rot, Daddy, in like high-pitched voice. Bro, it's so messed up. Anyway. Okay. The mindset that my dad has, that I've got from him, is that basically, when you're buying something, when you're going to get a return on your investment and you're going to get, you know, a return back from it, you don't want to be stingy on your investments. Stingy meaning like you're trying to save money and you're being all fucking tense and scarce about money. Okay. When you're getting a return on your investment, you don't need to be stingy. You basically want to put as much fucking money in as possible. All right. And basically buy the best. And the thing is, like, I had this mindset, okay, that I can basically buy the best and I'm going to get a return on that. And so what that lets me do is I can basically buy the best fucking newest iPhone, okay? And then I can indulge in the dopamine I get from that iPhone, okay? And I can feel good about the iPhone. And at the same time, the iPhone then goes and makes me more money. For example, like if you're managing some building project, like you need to fix the roof or some shit, you don't try and save money fixing your roof. if it means you're probably going to have to fix it next year or in a few years' time. You know, you're going to get a return on your investment from the roof in the sense that you're not going to have to repair it again if you go and put the money in. So that's the mindset I have with things I buy. It's like, I get the best because I want to be I don't get the best because it's like I'm fucking weirdly egotistical and it's like, oh, I'm the best and so I need the best iPhone. Like, I think a lot of people do that where it's like they need the best iPhone and it's like, you know, I really don't want to shit on people. Okay, I hate shitting on like strangers and things. But I remember when I was going on the train like, up to Scotland back in March it was, and I remember I just saw so many people who were like on their daily commute and shit, you know, on the train. And it's kind of like, well, you know, it looks like you're probably working a minimum wage salary job or close to that, and it looks like money's probably pretty scarce for you. But at the same time, you got the fucking best iPhone. And for people like that, it is, you know, it is just the dopamine materialism. It's like they are buying the nice things because they they feel like they are the best currently, and they sort of wanna, you know, they have that identity that they need it in a way. I don't buy nice things because of that mindset. The reason I like buying nice things is basically because I want to become the best, and so I act like I'm the best now, if you understand that. And so with my phone, for example, like, this thing, I'm so fucking grateful for it, bro, okay? Because it's so good to record on, okay, like, it can fucking record in log, bro, like, you know, like, the fucking, like, deep color shit, where it's literally, bro, it's like, it's just, like, such good, like, fucking color depth, and I literally, like, bro, look at that. The phone's off and it literally opens the camera just like that. That's just fucking mad, man. Like, it can be in my fucking pocket, and I press the camera button twice, and it just starts, like, if I've got it on, like, photo mode, you know, let's say I'm fucking, like, you know, out in the countryside, and I see, like, a fox, you know, it's probably about to run away. I see a badger, you know, really rare, about to run away. I put my hand in my pocket, I press the camera button twice, pull it out, press it again, takes a photo, just like that. Like, literally, the phone can be like this. Ready, watch this. Photo taken. Yep. Phone's off, photo taken. That's just fucking, bro, that's just crazy, man. Like, I'm not having to fucking, like, go put my passcode in, you know, which I had to do with my old phone, and then go and search up the camera app, and, like, fucking open the camera app. And then I've got to wait for it to load for, like, 10 seconds, because my old phone was, like, really shit, and then press the camera button, and it'll take, like, 2 seconds to take a photo. That phone is so much better. And guess what? I can fucking, like, record on it, man. Like, in the, oh fuck, I just took another photo by accident. I can, like, go record in, like, selfie mode, but, like, horizontally. This will be really weird. So I can go in, like, horizontal selfie mode like that. And it's just fucking sick, bro. Like, how I can just record a clip like that. That's just, like, so awesome. I'm not having to, like, fucking hold the phone like that and, like, using the fucking front camera and shit. You know, and it's, like, it's fast. It's got a good camera, so it can do photography. I can do, you know, messages and work on it really efficiently. You know, like the fucking AirPods, bro, you know, the AirPods connection, it's just fucking sick, man. Like, I'm just so grateful for this shit, and, you know, how it connects to my Mac, and it's all seamless, and it's good audio quality, like, it's fucking, you know, Spotify lossless audio. It's just, like, it's nice having nice stuff, and it's just efficient. And, like, when I was in Scotland, for example, you know, it's like I was out there hiking and doing cool stuff, like, out in fucking remote Scottish Highlands. And it's like, obviously I had my camera, like, that I was mostly filming with. But, like, for example, whenever I wanted to get a much, like, you know, telephoto shot, I didn't have a telephoto lens on me. And so, you know, telephoto being, like, really zoomed in lens. The iPhone has one. The iPhone's got a fucking, like, 105mm lens in it, bro. Like, what the fuck? You know? And so it's just like, shit, it's like, I'm getting such a good return on my investment with the iPhone. You know, it's just, it's so awesome, bro, like, having good things. And actually, like, you know, same thing with the Mac. It just fucking works, bro. It's so fast. Like, I can just export things so fast on it. It works. I don't need to think about it. It just works, and it's just sick, man. And it's like, I actually regret not getting more storage on my Mac and on my phone. I got, like, a terabyte on the Mac and, like, 256 gig, I think, on the iPhone. I regret just not getting a terabyte on the fucking phone and, like, fucking, like, 5 terabytes on the Mac. That'd be, like, so much better for me. I wished I would have put that money in up front and got the better, you know, much more storage. Even though, you know, it would have cost me, like, you know, £500 more maybe to do that. But I regret not doing that, because now I'm having to spend money buying more storage now, okay, and then having to carry it as an external thing, rather than it just being directly integrated in and much faster, where I just could have put the money in up front. Another thing is, like, my team members, like the guys, like, who work with me on my business, it's like, I pay them well. Like, for example, my closer, Evan, I pay him 20%, which is, like, ridiculously high for closing. Like, most closers, they're doing, like, 10, 12, you know, maybe 15% at maximum, okay, for, like, the price range that we're at. I pay this guy 20%, which is, like, it's not unheard of, but it's very high. Why do I pay him 20%? Well, he's a good closer. Okay, he does good work. All right, he's integrated into the community. He understands. He used to be like one of my best clients. All right, he's good at sales. He's good at what he does, and he takes like so much pressure off me. He just like gets his job done. You know, I do have to manage him to a degree, but like you're never gonna have to not manage a closer. And so it's like he's a good closer. I'm happy to pay him a good amount for the work he does. It's like I'm getting a fucking banging deal for paying him 20%, bro. You know, I'd still be profiting off him if I was paying him 50%. You know. And so it's like maybe not 50% to be fair. That is a bit much. But like I'm happy to do that, and then he does good work because of that, you know? Same thing with Hugo, my editor. Hugo, do you want to say hi for the second video in the row now, bro? I pay Hugo decently well. Like, it's not crazy money, but I'm not like fucking like trying to like save money by paying Hugo or anything. Because I get such a high ROI from Hugo. You know, it's like I profit so much from Hugo because like he spends hours editing my videos, editing them nicely. You know, and he does a good job. I'm not having to fucking manage it and like review every single video to a decent. Like, I review the videos, but that's to get him like better at editing and everything, because you know, so he can get better at editing, and so then he can make better videos for me and everything, and he's got more of a skill in that sense. And it's like I'm not being all stingy with like trying to be like, oh bro. To be fair, I did actually do this with one video, to be fair, in the past, and I'm making sure not to do this again because I kind of realized like it's not a good thing to do. Because there was like one video, for example, you know, basically I pay him like a set amount for each video he edits, regardless of like the length and everything. But all videos are sort of similar length and style anyway. But every now and then, like, you'll get one video where, like, it just really, you know, it needs, like, a tiny little thing cutting out, and that's it. Like, it takes, like, 15 minutes. And there was one video like that, and I asked it, you know, I was like, oh, hey, bro, like, I'll pay you less for this video, because it's, like, very little work. And, you know, Hugo was like, oh, yeah, that's fair enough. And I did that, and I kind of realized that after, like, shit, bro, it's, like, that's not fair. You know, we can't just, like, change the agreement like that, you know, just because the video's got less out. That's not fair. Like, I need to be paying this guy the same, like, you know, I need to hold our deal, even if it's like I'm not giving him the same amount of editing to do. Well, that's on my end. Like, that doesn't affect him. He should be being paid the same amount, you know, regardless, if that makes sense. And then, like, basically that will kind of make up for like then another video being more edited and requiring more work than the set amount, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of like, you know, I'm not gonna ever do that again, even if it's like a, you know, for example, another video I'm gonna record today is probably gonna be like 10 minutes and require very little editing. I'm still gonna pay him the set amount for that video, because I'm not gonna be fucking stingy about it, because I'm gonna be out of a point of abundance and get the return on my investment there. And this is the thing, I'm not like worrying about wasting money really, because it's an investment. At the end of the day, it is really just an investment, and this is the thing. I'm gonna end up making more money long term. You know, I'm bullish with my investments. If it's like, you know, there's some investment in the stock market, for example, you're not going to go and try and like save money on your investment. You know, if there's some investment where it's like, you know, you could double your money, and it's like, it's very little chance, you know, almost no chance of you losing money. Well, you're not saving money by putting less into the investment. You're just missing out on money, you know. Yeah, sure, you're temporarily saving money, but you're just missing out on money long term. Like, you don't want to be like stingy with your investments into your business, bro. You want to be like more bullish, you know, being almost like abundant with the money you're willing to invest, and being like bullish and being confident, and not being all scarce, being like, oh, but what if it doesn't pay off? Because it is going to pay off, you know. If you come from a point of abundance with your investments, it will pay off, and you know, you will get rewarded back for it. For example, saving time with YouTube and Spotify Premium, I actually did the maths here. So let's say on Spotify, I listen to 3 hours of music per day on average, which I think is true. That's quite a lot, to be fair, but 3 hours of music per day on average, which is 55 songs, if it's like 3 minutes 30 per song. And if you get a 45-second ad every 5 songs, then that's basically 495 seconds per day. That's 8 minutes and 30 of ads per 3 hours of music, which really isn't a lot when you think about it. But then you think that's literally 4 hours and 11 minutes of ads per month. Okay, all right. I'm paying £5 per hour of time I get back by buying Spotify Premium. The Spotify Premium is like £20 a month. Then I'm literally paying like £5 per hour for my time back for those ads, if you see that. And I work for a lot more than £5 per hour. And so that's, you know, even for someone on minimum wage, it's worth them to get Spotify Premium. Same with YouTube Premium. If I watch, you know, an average of 1.5 hours of YouTube per day, which, by the way, that's not me being bullshit YouTube, that's just listening to things while doing other things. Then that'd be 15 ads per day. That'd be 675 seconds per day. And that'd be 5 hours and 43 minutes I'll get back per month for £17. That is worth it, okay? Plus I get background play, so I'm not having to be all fucking fiddly with watching, putting on YouTube while I'm like out hiking or something like that, okay? And so, when you really think about it, like, that's like 6 hours of time you get back for £17. And then I kind of think, well, shit, I'm paying £40 per month for YouTube and Spotify Premium together. That's a lot of money. And that's decent money for just YouTube and Spotify Premium. But then you realize, I'm actually getting like fucking like what? Like 10 hours of, literally 10 hours of time back per month. Like £40 for 10 hours of your life. That's worth it. That's literally £4 per hour. That is 100% worth it, bro. And I think it's not just physical too. Like, with my phone and everything, it's like, I get the physical return on the phone being a good item. I get the physical return on the laptop helping me and everything. I think it's also mental too. And this is like the reciprocity. Reciprocity. Yeah. For example, like I buy the best, not out of like present arrogance in that I feel like I'm the best now, but I buy the best because I want to become the best and I need to act like I am the best now. I don't believe that I'm the best now, but I act like I am the best so that I become the best, if that makes sense. And then you start believing that you are the best and you kind of have to realize that there's levels to this and you can go so much further. But that's why I buy the best items. Simply just because I'm going to act like I am the best to then become the best. If I'm being all stingy with my investments, well, guess what? I'm not going to get much back. But if I'm bullish with my investments and I act like I'm fucking rich, then I'm going to get the return on those investments and then I become rich. And for example, like with mentorship, okay, if I'm willing to spend a lot with mentorship, then I'm going to be more confident charging high prices for other people for mentorship, and then I can be confident charging high prices, and then I make more money from that. Simply through reciprocity. Another thing is I've got $5,500 per month of expenses right now, okay? That's a lot of money going out the door every single month. Like, I start a month, I'm instantly $5,500 down. I've got to climb up from $5,500 in the negative before I even make even. And then, only then can I start making profit, okay? But the thing is, it is worth it. And the thing is, I start getting anxious over it, like $5,500 a month, that's a lot of fucking money, bro. But then you kind of break it down and you realize what you're spending the money on and you're like, shit, bro, I am getting so much, you think about, what would I do if I didn't have this thing or this thing or this thing? It's like, you actually get the return on it, I need to remember the long-term benefits of this because if I'm willing to spend $5,500 per month, then I'm going to get so much return on that. And that return, it's got latency to it. It's going to take time to come through. But then that return is going to come through. And that's going to get me to like fucking, 30K per month profit, 100K per month profit. And that is going to happen because I'm willing to spend so much and invest so much now. Like I said, me paying Hugo well now, my editor, I'm not going to get the return on these videos. Okay. So, and honestly, right now, I honestly am getting return on the videos. Like at the moment, I haven't worked out the exact maths on it, but I am getting return. To be fair, though, I could probably save money and not pay Hugo, or not work. I'm not gonna pay Hugo and then not get him to do editing and get him to do editing for me. But in the sense that I could not have an editor, and I will probably still get just as much return. But the fact that I do have an editor is gonna get me much more return long term. And then the money I'm putting in now is gonna fucking like 1,000x times in the fucking future because of this. For example, I spend $2,200 per month on mentorship, okay? $2,200 a month on mentorship. It's a decent amount for mentorship. And the thing is, I had an option, okay, to spend literally half of that and get not more or less the same product, but I would have got all the same training videos and all the same information. I just wouldn't have got the same like level of coaching for that, if that makes sense, if I did that. I decided, fuck it. I'm going to literally double the amount I'm paying and only get like a little bit of extra mentorship for that. Why did I do that? Well, because if I was at 100K per month, that's what I would do. And so I do that now. Okay, I do that now. And so then I'm sort of bullish in the investment, and so I'm going to get that return on the investment in the future because that's the type of person I am. I'm not trying to save the $1,100 a month. I'm not trying to save $1,100 per month now, because like sure I'll have more money now, but then that's going to cause me to have less money later. Okay, and it's like, for example, this is another really big thing. I spend $500 per month on food. Okay, that's a lot of money on food, and honestly, like I have to I eat so much, bro. Okay, I eat like mostly just steak and eggs. And I eat so much fruit, and I literally eat as much food as I want. Like, I never have, like, any limit of how much food. And, like, I always buy the best food I can, all the fucking, like, Tesco finest shit, alright? And I only started doing this maybe, like, a month or two ago. And I realized kind of what it's doing with me. This will sound so sad, but it's kind of like filling a hole in me, which I didn't really have when I was a child. And it's not like I was not malnutritioned or fucking malnourished or any shit like that. Like, I grew up as a healthy child. Like, my parents, we're well off. Like, my parents provide well. But it's like, for example, it's like, when I was trying to, like, bulk up, when I was, like, 13, I was trying to bulk up. And it's like, I always want to eat, like, peanut, because obviously I couldn't eat tons of meat because that was too expensive. And I didn't have the money for that. And my parents wouldn't want to spend loads of money on that, which is understandable. And so I'd try and get, like, eat peanut butter sandwiches because they had protein and they had fat in, and that was, like, solid. It's like bread, peanut butter, that's, like, it fits the macros. It's not ideal, but it fits the macros. And I'd want to eat more peanut butter sandwiches. And the peanut butter jar was maybe, like, £1, £2, something like that. And, a peanut butter jar I think I'd get, like, 2 a week or something like that. And so I'd have to kind of like ration out the peanut butter I'd only be able to have like 1 sandwich a day. Whereas I would be able to eat maybe like 4 or 5 sandwiches a day if I really wanted to. But like that would have been like, a jar of peanut butter a day, 2 jars of peanut butter a day. And I would have only ate that if that's what I could have done. But, I'd bring it up to my parents and be like, oh no, we're spending too much money on peanut butter. Or it'd be to my mum, oh no, we're spending too much money on peanut butter. You need to eat like more bread because bread's cheaper. And it's like, it was just a few pounds difference, really. And it would have like helped me so much more. But I kind of, I was 13, it's like, oh, my parents were saying that, I'd take that on board. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'd end up like making these fucking weird wacky meals for like whatever food. What you probably do is you make these like weird wacky meals for whatever food you have in the house. And it's like, bro, I would have Hugo, you got a fucking picture of this? I remember I put it on one of the old videos. Where it was like the video where it's like telling my entire life story. Where it's like I'd fucking get like tuna and sardines and like hot sauce and like soup or some shit, and I'd like fucking mix it all together and like do crazy shit like that because it would fit the macros, and that's like all the food we had in the house, And so obviously I didn't have any money, I didn't have any income myself, so I couldn't go out and buy my own food at all. And it would taste disgusting, but I would just eat it down and get it down with me because it's like I wanted to, I just wanted to make it fit my macros. And I think this honestly might be why I've got such good discipline on my diet. Like I never ever break my diet whatsoever. Like that is just not a thing I ever do. And like I get very like every now and then I'll get a little bit of a knife for some peanut butter, and that's it. That's the only urge I get of my diet. Like chocolate and sweets and shit, I smell it and it just doesn't. I don't get attracted to it. It like repels me. It makes me feel sick, honestly, bro. And it's like I've got no issues with my diet. Like I remember when I was in like Japan on this like school trip, it was like fucking representing the UK like fucking democratically for some like peace conference or some shit like that. And I remember like it was with the school, and there was only like 5 of us. I think it was like me and a couple other girls from my year. And I remember it's like we went to McDonald's like one like evening like after the fucking conference or some shit like that just to get food because it's quite late. And I remember I was like I'm not even going in there, bro. And I remember I literally like sat on like one of the benches like near the entrance. Just because like, I just like felt sick when I smelt it. And I just told everyone like, yeah, I don't eat McDonald's. If it makes me like junk food makes me feel sick, I don't eat junk food. I just told them that. Like, I felt kind of cringe at myself because, like, it was that kind of a weird new thing being on self-improvement at the time. I was like 14 then. But that's to the point where my diet discipline went. And I'm kind of going off tangent here. And eventually, I bought some like fucking pre-made Japanese fucking meal from like the fucking 7-Eleven, bro. And like ate that in the fucking hotel room. But it's like that's the extent I would go to not eat bad food. Like I will literally like go hungry instead of like eating some bad food. And I think that's basically because of this thing where it's like I had a lack of like an abundance, if that makes sense, of like good food that fits my macros. And so now it's like I feel like I'm sort of making that childhood hole worse by then going against my diet. And so now like I feel like so happy and so free just having as much good food as I want, and it's fucking awesome, bro. Like, I love my food, man. And it's so interesting. It's like, how people always have like cope with their food, it's like, oh, food's the only thing that makes me feel good. Food makes me feel really, really good. Food is like relaxing and like, it calms my nervous system and all this shit, bro. But I'm eating really fucking healthy, and so I feel like I'm just in a great situation with that. And like I'm not like, shit, $500 a month on food, that's a decent amount. I get so much return on that. Like if I didn't do that, bro, honestly, I wouldn't be able to work as well as I do. I wouldn't be able to do like 12-hour work days, 14-hour work days if I didn't do that. Because I'd be like so fucking tense about it and all this shit, like trying to fucking ration, like, that's just a fucking wartime thing, bro, rationing food. Like, what the fuck? We live in a society where food is in abundance. Like, we waste so much food. Like, we can afford to eat as much as we want. So, I do that. And so that basically me investing that money and not being fucking stingy with it and not being like, I know food isn't really, I guess food kind of is a material thing. But yeah, me not being stingy with that really gets me a really solid return. And the long-term benefits of basically treating your materialism as investments and treating it like tools is that you get this, it's just fucking awesome, man. You just get this godlike efficiency and this godlike fucking gratitude for your things, because your things, your material things, they kind of end up becoming a bit of like an extension of you, if that makes sense, and you end up becoming like super grateful for them. In the same way that like you work out in the gym because you know you love your body and you want to make it better. It's like you love your things because they help you so much, and you're like they're such, you know, they're your tools, your things. They're just kind of like an extension of you, and you become like super ingrained and like interwoven and efficient with them. You might be like, what the fuck are you going on about, Sam? This will make sense. Because like with my phone, for example, you know, this shit, I know this in and out now. I can, to be fair, I'm not super well versed in like absolutely everything, but it's like, you know, it just works out. For example, I literally just press the button and it just opens automatically because of like fucking facial recognition, bro. It's just like, that's just sick. And like, for example, all the apps I use, they're just on my homepage. Like, I don't have any like second home pages like at all. You know, everything is on this front page. And then if there's some app, then I literally just like search it up and it comes up. I'll be like, you know, hey, I don't have YouTube on my front page, so I don't like, or, you know, I use YouTube, but I don't keep it on the front page, or else I'll autistically open it every now and then and scroll. So I can just be like, hey Siri, open YouTube, and then it just opens YouTube. There we go. And then like I can literally just, you know, go on whatever the fuck I'm watching or listening to, and it's just like it's super efficient. It's just mad. Like, I don't know if you can do it in this lot. Or for example, when I'm asleep, okay, this is like super crazy efficient. I fucking love this. When I'm asleep, okay, and you know, you wake up in the middle of the night, or it's like you wake up and you're not really sure what time it is, okay, and you kind of want to know what time it is, you know, to determine like, is it like, you know, 10 minutes before I'm supposed to get up, or have I only been asleep for like 4 hours, you know? And instead of like fucking sitting up and like looking at the clock, or like, so I've got like a digital clock on here. And by the way, I wear contact lenses. I can't see shit, bro. I cannot see shit when I don't have my contact lenses in. So I literally have to, I'm asleep on the floor. So I literally have to sit up and then get here and like reach over my desk for here. This little light here because it's got the time on. And I have to get my face like really fucking close to it and get the light in my eyes. And I'll get it like this and I'll be able to read it, what the time is like that. Okay, because I'm even more blind when I've just woken up as well. And that'd be so awkward when I like half wake up and it's not nice. Whereas when I wake up in the night now, I'll have my phone like wherever on charge and I'll just go, hey Siri, what's the time? It's 10:37. And I'll be like, oh, okay, I know what the time is. I can just, you know, I'm asleep and just like, hey Siri, what's the time? Fuck, you were supposed to say it, bro. Oh, it fucking came up on my laptop, that's why the laptop doesn't announce it. And that's just like super crazy efficient. And like the only way I've been able to do that is by basically building up a longer term relationship with my phone. Because, like originally, when I first did that is when I was in Scotland, in the little cabin I was staying in, it didn't have a clock there, okay? And so I needed to basically check my phone for the time, and so when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'd have to get my phone and check the time. And instead of like blaring my eyes out, I was like, shit, I could just ask Siri and it'll say it. And so I started doing that. And I was like, shit, I don't even need to get up to ask Siri. And I just started doing that afterwards. And it's just like, you know, efficiency is fucking awesome. Same with team members as well. It's like to build a company, not a company, but a business, you know, that can make a lot of money and can really have a big mission, you know. You need to hire people. You can do it alone, like if you know, or if you just have an editor and you blow up on content, like you can do it alone, but it's quite hard to. You're much easier to do it when you hire team members, okay? I'm only doing 25k a month and I've already got like, you know, I've got like, what, 4 people who are not working for me, but I'm working with. I don't like using the term working for me because we don't like employees in this space. And so, you know, the reason I can make 25k per month is because I'm working with 4 other guys doing this, okay? And the thing is, like, you know, you're gonna need like what we basically call like, I think you can call them like A players, like basically people who are just really fucking good at what they do, and you can rely on them, and they're just fucking good at their job. People like that. Like the equivalent in like a football team, for example, is going to be like, you know, really good, like top level world-class players. For a good football team, you need world-class players, okay? And so basically my equivalent of like, you know, the world, you know, basically what I'm saying, you need world-class players. And so what I'm basically doing is instead of going out and like buying these world-class players, you know, and or like going out and trying to buy the best things, you know, just because like put money in and try and get the best things. What I'm also doing is like investing long term. If you get that, almost like home growing my A players and home growing my team pretty much. And so with Hugo, for example, like Hugo, he isn't like the best editor. He's a good editor, you know, but he's not like the best. Like, for example, there's another guy who outreached to me who's a fucking like he's fucking sick, bro. Okay, and he charges pretty low prices. I'm gonna have to pay him significantly more, but for what he does, like loads of fucking 3D animation shit, he's sick. And I'm probably gonna trial him out with a video or two just to sort of see if it works. I'm 90% chance not gonna hire him long term just because like I'm not gonna get the return on the investment without super edited videos. But I could go and hire him. Like, let's say I was making way more money. I could go and hire him and just like basically put the money down on the table and get him. And it's like he's gonna produce good work, but it's not gonna be super optimized for me, and it's not gonna be like super personal and like exactly how I want it, if that makes sense. Like it's gonna be good editing, but we're not gonna have like an efficiency together and like a, you know, a harmony together, if that makes sense. Whereas with Hugo, so I've been working with Hugo for maybe like a month now, I think, maybe a bit less than that. And at the first, like, we didn't have any harmony because he was editing for me and he was also not the best, you know, at the start. He's a good editor, but he's not, like, super crazy, you know? However, each video he does, I review it and I give him feedback on it. And we've now got an automatic system where I literally just upload the file. After this, I'll get the SD card, put it in the laptop, upload the files. He's just got, I don't have to fucking send him anything and be like, oh, hey, bro, here's this video, it's going to be uploaded now. We've just got a system. We know when each video is going to be uploaded. We know what the description is, what the title is. You know, he has everything. And so I literally send the video. I might record like a 5 or 10 minute Loom video to him explaining what I want specifically for this video. But then other than that, it's just automated and it'll just get uploaded for me. Same with like the thumbnail guy. He just makes a thumbnail for each video and then just sends it to Hugo and then Hugo uploads it to YouTube Studio. Same with the short form. You know, they send it to Hugo and then that basically just gets uploaded automatically for me. And I don't need to think of anything like that. And it's just automatic, done, efficiency, harmony. And the thing is, like, I actually, like, just now, it interrupted me in recording this video, which is fine. No offense, no hate against you for this, Hugo, because I asked you to do this. But Hugo basically called me, being like, "Hey man, I just finished one of the videos. Can you review it before I export it?" And so I did. I recorded like a 10-minute Loom reviewing it. And Hugo has got a lot better at, not better at editing itself, but editing in the style that I want him to edit with. And he's picking up on it, and he's getting good at it now in the way I want him to do it. Okay. Because I'm being able to give him feedback. And the only way we've been able to get to that is by doing it over and me giving him feedback over the past month for like the past 12 videos. If I just hired that best guy now, he wouldn't understand that and I would have to go through the same period with him. And so what I'm saying is, and I've told Hugo about this too, is that I'm hoping that in the future, I'm not gonna have to go out there and like buy a world-class player and like, you know, spend a fuck ton of money to like find someone and hire them. You know, someone I don't know I don't have harmony with, if that makes sense. I would much prefer if Hugo could grow into that world-class player. And this is another mindset with like hiring people, which you don't really need to know right now for where you're at, but it can be interesting to know. You don't hire people for where they're currently at. You hire people for who they can become, okay? So for example, my closer, when I started working with him, he was decent at sales, not great. Like, I knew he was going to be worse than me, and I was going to temporarily lose a good bit of money basically working with him. But I made the investment anyway because I knew that he would basically, long term, he would be able to become who, you know, I know he needs to become. And he has started to become that person now, and I'm now getting the return on doing that. Same thing with Hugo. I know Hugo has potential to become that world-class editor, you know, who I have harmony with. Not necessarily world-class in the sense that he can edit for anyone and blow anyone up, but in the sense that I could sort of almost like train him to like blow up for me, if that makes sense. And so that's what I'm doing. And like, I couldn't get that by just paying a load of money to somebody else. And this, you know, this happens with the items. Like, sure, I've got the best iPhone, you know, that's I couldn't buy a better phone if I wanted to, really. Same thing with the MacBook. I mean, technically I could get more storage, to be fair, which I regret not doing. But same thing with my items. It's like, this phone, I'm not going to get the fucking iPhone 18 when it comes out in like September or whenever the next new phone comes out. I'm going to keep this phone, and I'm going to keep this phone for the next fucking 5 years, bro. Okay, same thing with the MacBook. I'm going to keep this shit for like fucking long time, bro. Why? Because I don't want to go through the hassle of fucking getting a new phone and fucking like figuring out the fucking new shit, bro. You know, I used to have like a shitty little Android that barely worked, and the only reason, you know, I had this phone for like a whole year. Or I had it for a year. I had it for like 3 years. But there was a whole year where it like barely worked. And like I would go on my screen time would literally be like 5 minutes a day, bro, because I'd do like what I needed to do, then just fucking like leave it, bro. But I still needed a phone, you know, you still need a phone number and to call people. But I'd use WhatsApp on my PC. When I needed a camera, I'd use my GoPro or my actual camera. I would never use a camera on my phone or anything. You know, when I was literally like out hiking, listening to stuff, I'd get it on my fucking smartwatch and like connect my earbuds to my smartwatch instead of my phone, bro. It was so fucked. And I had that for a year. Why? And I was making money for that year. Why didn't I just get a new phone when I could afford one? Well, because I couldn't be asked to fucking switch to iPhone, bro. Because I was in harmony with that phone, even though it stopped working, because it was such a shit item. You know, it's such a cheap phone which I got, you know, which my parents got me before I was making money. No hate to them, like they bought me a phone. You know, I appreciate them for that. I wasn't expecting my parents to buy me the fucking newest iPhone when I was like, you know, 13. But yeah, basically, it's like I've now bought the best iPhone because I'm gonna keep it for ages because I cannot be asked to fucking change it. Like changing to Mac, bro. I remember when I got this Mac back in like September. I switched from Windows to Mac. I back then I had a problem with not going to like bed on time, and I'd always stay up late, like you know, doing extra work and shit. That problem completely went. Why did that problem of going to bed like go? Well, because I couldn't be fucking asked to continue working on my Mac because I just didn't know how the fucking software, the Mac OS worked. Okay, it required so much brain power for me to fucking, you know, use my computer because I didn't, you know, it was new, that I would literally avoid it and go to bed early. That's just fucking stupid, and that's why I just hate changing shit. I'm not gonna change it, because if it works, I'm gonna keep it working. And this is what I said, like, you can build a long-term gratitude with items because they like, become an extension of you. And you become, you know, you get this fucking, like, harmony with them, okay? And it's like you build a relationship with them, like my Mac, it's got all these fucking like stickers on, bro. You know, every country I've traveled to, I'm gonna like put a sticker on there. Unfortunately, when we go to Albania in September, I'm moving in with all my clients in September, like all the boys who are like making money online, dropping out now. We're all moving in together in Albania in September, or in August and September. I'm not gonna be able to get a new Albania sticker, unfortunately, but you know, even so, it's like I'm gonna travel some this summer, like France, Italy, you know. And I'm just gonna like you know have a bit of a travel around and like I'm gonna put those fucking flag stickers on there too. You know, whenever there's a good brand which I like, which we should probably remove GoPro and Whoop there because GoPro and Whoop are pretty shitty brands. But you know, I just put them on like we've got school stickers in like the UK. You know, and so it's like I just build a relationship with it. Same thing with my phone. Like I've got like all the backgrounds like that background there. If you can see that. That background, in fact, I'll probably have to hold it here else it'll be out of focus. That's a photo I took from the top of Snowdonia, I believe. Like that ridgeline there is Crib Goch, like the hardest, most deadly ridgeline in the whole of the UK, which me and my friend Vincent did back in October. And that's just like a pretty sick photo, which I like. You know, Hugo maybe wants to put the photo fully up on screen. I fucking love that photo, bro. I've done so much nice shit with the color grading. I've built a relationship with my phone because I've got the photo on there, you know, like, I can just sit here and look at that photo, bro. It's just like, not to be arrogant, but I really love my own photos that I take because I feel like they're so personal. Like, it's just such a huge landscape, man. It's beautiful there. I just fucking love that shit, bro. It's a beautiful photo. So I just like build relationships with my items. Same thing with my team members. Like you build relationships with them and everything, you know. And it's like I don't know how to put this. I don't want to like expose Hugo in any way, okay, by saying this, and I'm not going to expose you, bro. I don't want to get into like Hugo's personal life or anything, but basically it's like, I feel with Hugo, because Hugo also is like one of my clients and everything, and it's like, with him, he was like, at least from my knowledge, it's like, you know, Hugo wasn't in like the best situation financially, which as a young broke guy, it's like, that's not obviously going to be natural and everything. And it's like, okay, this is due to his own hard work as well. This wouldn't, you know, this wouldn't have worked out if he didn't put the work in. This is like 90% his own work. But I also feel, because now obviously he's making money working for me, he got like $1,000 coaching sale the other day as well. And it's like, he's now doing, you know, he's buying a new laptop and everything, so that when he comes to like the house in Albania in September, it's like he'll be able to work there. And it's like, I'm pretty sure Hugo is probably doing better now than he was before. And it's just, it feels fucking sick that like, I've sort of been able to help him do that. Like I said, it's like 99% his own work. Like, there's plenty of guys who work with me but don't get results. Not plenty, but there's some guys who work with me and not get results because they just don't put the work in. But like, the reason I gave Hugo his editing job was because he was willing to put the work in and he was already a good editor. The reason he's got his coaching salary is because he's put the work in, but I've kind of enabled him, you know, I've been there to enable him to do that, if that makes sense. And that feels so fucking good that I've been able to do that. And it's like, I'm able to almost like build a relationship with him. And it's like we sort of work in harmony. Same with my closer, Evan. It's like we now kind of work in harmony in the sense that we've got so many systems in place and everything. And, if I was to go and hire like the best closer ever, like sure, it's like I wouldn't be able to even get them to work for me, but sure, it's like they'd be good, but I wouldn't have that harmony with them. You'd have to go through that period regardless, and so it's like I'm trying to homegrow my own A players, and it's like oh fuck, my Mac's being funny. That's ironic. I've got the best Mac and the screen's got some error with it where it fucking keeps like flashing and everything, but I think that's just a software thing that'll get fixed. But it's like I buy the best. And I just like get the best and I just invest in that, bro. And so I'm not being fucking stingy or anything. I buy the best. It's an investment. I build a relationship with the shit. And it fucking, it gives me that long-term return, okay? It's like I've got this fucking dream of like traveling with just everything I need on my back, in a backpack on my back. And I can just go be spontaneous. And I'm just in harmony with my things. I've got my camera, got my phone, got my laptop, got my like bivvy maybe, which is like a tiny little mix of, it's like in between a tent and a sleeping bag, I guess. And it's just like I've got everything I need in my back just to survive. And being in harmony with my items and being efficient, like that's what I want, bro. I don't want to just like, put money into shit and like just to sort of try and get the best and then like not really appreciate it. But at the same time, I don't want to be all fucking stingy and like avoid spending money. I want to like bullishly invest in my things. If you make self-improvement content or you want to start making sort of self-improvement content like YouTube and Instagram videos maybe, and you want to make money doing this, you want to live the online business dream that I'm sort of living now. I just want to tell you, like my average client, I'm not pitching you here, my average client makes $3,700 in the first 60 days. And I'm not selling you anything whatsoever here, bro. I'm basically just trying to make you aware of my free course, which I have. I think I mentioned it earlier about the mindsets. This will teach you literally everything you need to know to start, not even making self-improvement content, but starting self-improvement coaching in general, to basically sprint you to your first 2K per month. I have helped so many fucking guys. I've got a ridiculous amount of testimonials. This course, okay, the old version of it has already changed so many fucking guys' lives. And I'm currently in the process of re-releasing like a newer version of it, bro. This is going to fucking revolutionize your life if you are willing to lock in and follow it, bro. It's called the $1,000 Protocol. The link for that is down in the description. No pressure if you don't want to join. I completely understand that, bro. But the link is there if you want it. Also, you might never ever see me again. Think about that. You've probably got some value. Even if you watch my videos somewhat frequently, like you might never see me again. Please, if you've watched my videos before, maybe this is the first one and you like who I am, which you probably do if you watch this far, then I implore you, please, click that subscribe button, because not only does that help me, you also end up seeing more of my videos, you get more of this value, okay? And then that just helps you out so much, so please, subscribe. But yeah, I understand if you don't want to do that, but regardless, bro, I really hope this video can change your life, and have an amazing day, bro. Bye-bye.